The story begins with Anna, a scientist, sleeping peacefully until her son Jane bursts into bed with far too much energy for that early hour. Exhausted, Anna begs him to go back to his room so she can rest a little longer. But the boy won't leave her alone. Excitedly, he explains that he wants to go swimming and that he's already been practicing holding his breath just like the professionals do. Unable to convince her son to go back to sleep, Anna finally decides to get up. Just then, the roar of a storm shakes her completely. Looking out the window, she realizes it's pouring rain, much heavier than anything she's seen all month. A few minutes later, as she gets ready to make breakfast and Jane is busy drawing on his tablet, Anna notices something alarming. There's water on the floor. The liquid is seeping in through the window. And when she looks up to inspect the outside, horror washes over her. The water level is rising rapidly, already reaching the third floor. Through the glass, Anna watches in utter disbelief as the entire city floods. Realizing she's in a true emergency, Jane, obsessed with swimming, becomes a real nuisance as Anna desperately tries to listen to the emergency message broadcast over the building's loudspeakers. After being forced to yell at her son to be quiet, Anna rushes to pack a bag. She understands they must evacuate the building as soon as possible to survive. Before she can leave, Anna receives an unexpected call from a man named Joe. He explains that the company she works for has sent him specifically to rescue her. Joe gives her clear instructions. She must take her son and wait for him at the highest point she can reach. By the time the call ends, the situation has become critical and the water is already up to her knees. Faced with imminent danger, Anna abandons all her belongings, making sure to take only her son's heart medication. With Jane slung over her shoulder, Anna finally leaves her apartment and tries to climb to the upper floors. All around her, the scene is pure chaos. Dozens of people are trying to do the exact same thing to escape the rising tide. However, the hallways are completely packed with panicked residents, and the access to the higher levels is blocked, leaving them trapped in a desperate struggle to find a way out. Unable to just stand around waiting with everyone else, Anna decides to scout the third floor in search of another way up. As she searches, the water keeps rising steadily, making it harder and harder for her to even walk. After forcing open an emergency lock, she gains access to the service stairs and rushes up quickly before anyone else notices. Along the way, she does her best to soothe her son, but he starts crying when he sees people swimming below and realizes he isn't. To take his mind off things, Anna starts singing his favorite song, pushing forward until they reach the 8th floor, where they hit a massive blockade in the stairwell. Furniture, bicycles, and dozens of other items have been dumped in the stairs, completely blocking her path. She tries to squeeze past along the edge, but she nearly slips and falls, carrying Jane on her back. She realizes there's just no way to make it through that mess safely. In the hallways, the crowd has calmed down a bit, under the impression that the water won't reach their level. From the balcony, Anna manages to spot Joe, who gestures toward a specific meeting point for their evacuation. The only problem is that Jane has wandered off. Anna figures he might have slipped into one of the apartments to use the bathroom. So, she starts checking every single door in a blind panic. Then, she looks up and what she sees takes her breath away. A massive wave, taller than any building in sight, is surging toward them with terrifying force, swallowing everything in its path. The wave slams into the large windows, shattering everything around it. As people scramble to get out, Anna slides through the submerged debris, struggling just to stay alive. In her desperate swim to the surface, she loses the bag containing Jane's essential medicine. As she maneuvers through the now flooded hallways, she brushes past the bodies of those who weren't quick enough to outswim the surge, a grim reminder of how narrow her own chances of survival have become. A few seconds later, Anna finally finds her son floating precariously over the living room table. She desperately tries to pull him out, but her lungs run out of air, and her strength begins to fail. Fortunately, Joe appears just in time. He grabs her and helps them both reach the surface, saving them from certain death. Once they reach a balcony, Joe pulls Jane up and starts performing CPR until the little boy finally wakes up, sobbing and crying out that he doesn't want to swim anymore. As soon as they manage to calm him down, Joe tells them it's time to keep moving. But Anna firmly refuses to let anyone else carry her son. On the way, Jane tearfully tells her how scared he was, saying it reminded him of the day his dad's car ended up underwater. That accident was a tragedy that changed their family forever and claimed his father's life. As they climb the stairs towards safety, Joe reveals the terrifying truth of what happened. An asteroid struck the ocean, triggering massive tsunamis all across the globe. The entire nation is now completely submerged. She and a handful of other top scientists have been handpicked for extraction. The world as they knew it is over, and Anna is set to be a cornerstone of a new era for humanity. Her groundbreaking research on emotional cause for AI is the key to training machines to nurture and raise the next generation of humans. Only 2 other people in the entire world were capable of doing what she achieved, and they are presumed dead after a plane crash caused by the electrical storms in the south. A helicopter is waiting for them on the roof. She's headed to a secret base where she'll be assigned a formal research team. As they talk, she learns that machines capable of cloning humans are already being built. They just need her data to launch the program that will eventually repopulate the planet. It's all too much for Anna to take in at once. On top of the world-altering news, Jane keeps complaining that he really has to use the bathroom, and Hijo is making it very clear that they don't have a single second to waste if they're going to get out of there alive. Before the boy has an accident, Hijo lets them use the restroom. At that moment, he picks up a call and it becomes clear that he's carrying a weapon. A few minutes later, he asks Anna if she can truly make a machine print out humans with emotions, feelings, and the whole deal. She tells him the results are promising, but admits the tests on maternal instinct were inconclusive. The machine's cold logic is inherently at odds with the idea of self-sacrifice. To Hijo, emotions are nothing but a hindrance. He tells her she'll see that for herself very soon. Once the helicopter arrives, everyone on the roof will scramble to get on, completely forgetting their fathers, mothers, or siblings. Everyone will fight only to save their own skin, and she'll realize he's right. Anna then asks Hijo to borrow his phone to call her mother. During the call, she only has a few seconds to say her goodbyes before the sound of screaming drowns out her mother's voice, and the line goes dead. Hijo tells her they need to move fast, but right then, the entire building jolts and the gas lines rupture, filling the apartment with fumes. As soon as they scramble out, random explosions start popping off all over the place. The group finds themselves trapped between 2 burning apartments, and Hijo realizes their only way out is to climb. For a few frantic seconds, Anna holds her son over the edge of the building, but Jane refuses to take Hijo's hand, forcing the man to reach down and pull him up with a jerk. The sudden movement sends Anna plunging 5 stories down into the water. The impact triggers a sudden flashback to the crash that killed her husband. Miraculously, she stays alive and swims toward the side of the building, making it back to the stairs to start her climb all over again. As she heads up, she hears someone begging for help from inside an elevator. She can clearly hear a little girl crying on the other side of the heavy metal doors. However, Anna doesn't have the strength to pry the doors open with her bare hands, so she turns back to find a crowbar or something she can use as leverage. Unfortunately, before she can get back, another wave slams into the building, throwing her away from the door and triggering another vision of the crash. This time, the memory is even clearer. She sees exactly how her husband was pinned under the car and how she was forced to leave him behind just to save Jane. By the time she surfaces again, it's already too late for the girl trapped in the elevator. Anna has to pull herself together and keep climbing to reach Hijo. But something is seriously wrong with Jane. His heart is failing and he needs his medicine right away or he won't last much longer. Ignoring Hijo's orders, Anna starts checking the apartments one by one, desperately searching for anything that might help. Hijo grabs her by the arm and tells her to leave the boy behind. He claims that in the space lab, she can just create a new one, exactly like he was this morning. Furious, Anna screams at him to get away from her. After searching frantically through several places, she ends up in an elderly couple's apartment. She scours their kitchen and mixes a few ingredients together that might provide some temporary relief for the boy. Anna begs her son to take the medicine, but the child remains unresponsive. At that moment, the story flashes back to the past, revealing a shocking truth. Anna isn't actually Jane's mother. The boy is an artificially created human designed specifically for her research trials. His sole purpose is to help Anna in her quest to build a complete emotional core, one that would allow AI to defy pure logic for the sake of humanity, or to put it simply, to teach machines the essence of maternal instinct. Hyun Mo, the project director, tells Anna that it's perfectly normal to grow attached to the children. She warns her, however, that the research will wrap up in a few months and they'll have to say their final goodbyes. Hyun Mo then confides in Anna, revealing that she has a child of her own in the program and admits that it's going to be incredibly difficult for her to let him go when the time comes. In that moment, we cut back to the apartment. Jane has finally regained consciousness and Anna pulls him into a desperate tight embrace. A few minutes later, the rain stops completely and the sun breaks over the city. For a brief second, it feels like everything might actually be okay, but then the bad news about the shelter drops. Hijo reveals that Jane isn't included in the evacuation flight. He isn't considered essential for human survival and is seen as someone who is easily replaceable. Anna knows that on paper, he might be right. An artificial human like Jane can be manufactured in just a few minutes. Still, she can't shake the feeling that this is fundamentally wrong. Suddenly, The sun vanishes again and a massive roar grabs their attention. A wave far larger than any they've seen before looms on the horizon, and it's time to run for their lives. Anna shares a quick grateful goodbye with the elderly couple who spend their final seconds together as the wall of water grows in the background. The group manages to make it to the top floors, where Anna hears the piercing screams of a woman giving birth right there on the floor. The couple begs Anna for help, but she looks away and keeps climbing. A moment later, Jane asks her innocently if it hurt that much for her, too, when he came into the world. Anna can't take it anymore and snaps at Joe about the rule against taking Jane, but he tells her to think straight. As a scientist, she has to accept that the boy isn't vital to the human race, but she is. In the distance, the sound of the helicopter grows louder, and Joe promises he'll do his best to convince the soldiers to let them both board. When the chopper lands, a man in a suit and several soldiers hop out. They grab Jane by force and handcuff him to a metal beam. Anna begs Joe to do something, but he reveals that Hyunmo ran away with her child. In her final transmission, she said she'd rather die than abandon him. Now Anna faces the exact same choice. She can board the helicopter or stay behind to die, protecting what the world considers nothing more than a piece of incomplete technology. Anna makes her final choice, but as she's being dragged toward the helicopter, she watches in horror as they shave Jane's head to extract his memory chip, the vital component required for her research. Seconds later, the soldiers execute Joe right then and there. He's no longer needed for the next phase of the plan for the new humanity. The man in the suit tells Anna the cold truth: the helicopter has only one seat, and it belongs to her. The rest of the crew will die on that roof, and they've already accepted their fate. Now, he insists she must accept her own. As the helicopter lifts off, they place Jane's memory chip, freshly pulled from his brain, right in front of her, signaling the start of the next phase. A fleet of rockets carrying the humans chosen to save the race is launched toward a space station where she will finally complete her research. The station is fully equipped with the technology to print artificial humans. Looking out from a window, Anna watches as more and more asteroids slam into the Earth, completely obliterating the entire planet. Suddenly, something goes wrong. The lead ship is obliterated by an asteroid, and the resulting debris slams into the vessel carrying Anna. The next thing she knows, she wakes up in her bed once again. Jane is right there beside her, cheering about the fact that his mom finally installed a pool for him at the house. For some reason, Anna has been thrown back in time, and everything has started to repeat itself. Joe's call comes in just like before, and she makes sure to grab Jane's medicine this time before rushing out the door. However, everything is moving much faster now, forcing Anna to snap at her son to pay attention and stay close. Despite her warnings, Jane refuses to listen and hides inside a closet, so Anna has to grab him by force and hoist him onto her back to make her escape. The problem is that things aren't the same this time around. The stairwell that was clear before is now packed with people, and Joe is already several floors up, right where she was supposed to be by now. In a split second, a wave slams into them. Mother and son are forced to swim for their lives toward the upper floors. But in the middle of the chaos, Jane vanishes once again. The next moment, Anna spots Jane being swept away by the current, and she's completely unable to reach him. As she looks around in total despair, a drifting car strikes her, and the scene cuts to black. She comes to shortly after. Joe is performing CPR on her, and she realizes she's wearing a shirt with the number 787 on it, one she wasn't wearing before. Joe shows her a photo of Jane heading up the stairs, and Anna sprints toward the upper floors, frantically searching for her son. However, Joe is so insistent on dragging her in the opposite direction that Anna finally loses her cool. She snatches his gun and points it at him just as the apartments begin to explode from the gas leaks. One of these blasts goes off right next to Anna, killing her instantly. But then something else happens. She wakes up again, dangling from a balcony, only this time, she's wearing a t-shirt with the number 1931. Joe grips her tightly to keep her from falling, but she breaks free and dives straight into the water. Right then, she hears Jane's voice calling out to her from a nearby balcony. Anna only has a few seconds to process everything, but she finally realizes she's trapped in some kind of time loop. Though, she still holds on to the memories of all her previous attempts. Resolved to change the outcome, she decides to try something different. She attempts to rescue the girl trapped in the elevator, but she ends up drowning. A moment later, she's back with a new shirt numbered 4007, this time, stealing a crowbar to pry the doors open. Using the metal bar as leverage, she finally succeeds, pulling the little girl out of the elevator and dragging her out of the water to safety. The girl's name is Jisoo, and she shows Anna her apartment, the very same one that belonged to the elderly couple where Anna had mixed the medicine before. However, the place is now a charred ruin. Anna tells the girl to head up to the second-to-last floor and stay put. She needs to keep moving to find her son. As she walks, Anna is flooded with visions of what happened to number 4006. Apparently, she shares the collective memories of all her predecessors and can clearly see two men attacking her. These thugs are in the next apartment over looting residents' belongings and prey on those left behind. They suddenly turn on her and try to assault her. Before things can escalate, Hee-jo shows up with Jisoo and hurls the scumbags right out the window. A few minutes later, Jisoo introduces her to her grandparents, who turn out to be living in a different apartment this time around. To Anna's shock, the elderly woman hands her the very medicine she had concocted for Jane in her previous loop. It's in this moment that Anna realizes that by changing her choices, she's actively altering people's lives and triggering different outcomes. Still, Jane is nowhere to be found. Her mind is consumed with a single-minded goal of finding her son. Even as Hee-jo keeps breathing down her neck, insisting that her own survival is the only thing that actually matters, Hee-jo reveals that a specialized unit is on its way to find Jane, but he insists she has to keep moving toward the roof or she'll miss the evacuation chopper. She flat out refuses to leave her son behind, checking every single floor door by door. Near the top levels, the situation turns into a nightmare. The soldiers from the helicopter have moved in to find Jane, and they're executing anyone they come across. Anna knows that if they catch her, they'll drag her away, and she'll lose any chance of finding her boy, which by now is the only thing she gives a damn about. A bit later, her shirt changes again, this time showing the number 7993. On the second-to-last floor, she hears the voice of the woman in labor once more. This time, however, the father is missing, and the woman successfully gives birth on her own, despite the fact that Anna had refused to help her in a previous loop. Hearing the newborn's cries, Anna hands over her dry clothes to wrap the baby, even as the rising water in the background makes it clear that they'll all be submerged very soon. A short while later, the father shows up and Anna leaves the family behind to continue her search for Jane. In that moment, a memory of her son drawing on his tablet flashes through her mind, so she decides to check the app on her phone. There she finds a drawing of herself on the roof with a helicopter in the background, meaning Jane knows all along that she's going to abandon him. Even worse, she finds 7,993 similar drawings in the gallery, one for every single attempt she's made inside the loop, and every one of them has the same ending. Seconds later, the soldiers bust in and take Anna down using drugs. As she's drifting into unconsciousness, she hears Hee-jo telling them to get her to the roof immediately. He says he'll wait for the search unit and retrieve the memory chip before they take off. Right before she passes out, Anna reveals a devastating truth to Hee-jo. He's going to be murdered on that roof. Left wondering if she's telling the truth, Hee-jo decides to trust his gut. He turns on the soldiers, taking them out and setting Anna free. Anna, who is now wearing a shirt with the number 13,417, jumps in just in time to save Hee-jo from a soldier attacking him from behind. To help her get back on her feet, Hee-jo injects her with a shot of adrenaline. Once she's alert, Anna explains the truth about the time loop, showing him the proof that they are trapped in a simulation where everything repeats over and over again. She insists that they have to save Jane. Finding him is the only thing she hasn't managed to do since she started dying repeatedly. They only have one floor left to search, but it's crawling with soldiers. After grabbing weapons from the fallen guards, Anna and Hee-jo throw themselves into one attempt after another to find Jane. They face off against the soldiers, but fail every single time. Effort after effort, they try to change things up, switching their routes and their attack strategies. Through this grueling process, Hee-jo is wounded thousands of times until the number on Anna's shirt eventually passes 20,000 failed attempts without them ever reaching the boy. On her 21,493 start, a massive wave slams into the building near the very top. It's a clear sign that time is running out and she has to do something drastic or they'll fail for sure. With every other floor already underwater, only the roof remains above the surface, and that's where Anna finally tracks down Jane. The boy is terrified and he asks her why she has abandoned him so many times. It has been raining for far too many days and he's still only 6 years old. He's exhausted, but he waited for her just like she told him to. In this moment, we see Anna's real goodbye from her very first attempt. Just as the soldiers were about to rip out his memory chip, she whispered in his ear that she loved him and would come back for him. Anna scoops her son into her arms. This time, she has no intention of leaving him behind. She moves away from the helicopter while the soldiers chase after her. Even as a monster wave looms on the horizon, she fights to the bitter end for her son. And just when it looks like everything is lost, the simulation suddenly shuts down. We travel 5 years back in time to the moment Hyun-mo is listening intently to Anna's idea, using artificial humans within a simulation to finally complete the emotional core. Anna proposes creating a baby and volunteers as the primary test subject to finish the research that will save humanity when the time comes. It is here that we see how Anna raised Jane from infancy, from the late-night feedings to teaching him how to talk. Anna lived through every milestone, including the life-changing moment when Jane said, "Mommy," for the first time. They were in this together from the very beginning. However, Jane was blissfully unaware that his body would stop aging after his 5th birthday, as that was the preset cutoff for the experiment. The death of Anna's husband was a real tragic event that became a core part of them both, and Hyunmo used the rising water as a canon event to shape the experiment's final climax. Reliving such a traumatic experience proved to be the ultimate key to maximizing emotional output. The only thing missing was for Anna to develop the maternal instinct in all its stages, including the final phase, total self-sacrifice for one's child. The moment Anna leaps from the rooftop after Jane, the simulation shuts down, the core is completed, and for a fleeting second, they both appear in the middle of the actual ocean. Anna grips her son in a powerful embrace just seconds before a massive wave sweeps over them. In the end, their data is successfully uploaded to a server in deep space with the emotional core finally perfected. The AI now has the capability to print humans with full emotional complexity. Anna and Jane are printed once more aboard the station, and every space colony begins the process of repopulating the Earth. Now that the missing piece of the human puzzle has been delivered, after a 5-year experiment, Anna has finally achieved her life's work. Humanity will not only have another chance, but through her experiences and sacrifice, a new race of more complex and capable humans will be able to give a new future wherever they go. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video even half as much as I enjoyed making it, smash that subscribe button.